Welcome to this May reading for inner healing. Let's dive in. So for the first card, what energy are you coming into the month with? Ooh, we got the Mother of Swords. And the Mother of Swords is actually a card that is sometimes misunderstood because yes, she can appear a little bit frigid or cold, but actually in the end, this card is has much more depth than that, because the Mother of Swords has kind of grown through the Suit of Swords, which is quite difficult actually. And as a result, she's kind of been able to learn through those experiences. And she is able to kind of now see sharply. That is what she is. She's somebody who is actually able to see very clearly through bullshit, through things that don't feel right for her. And that's actually thanks to the things that she's learned. And so actually now she's able to use that experience to help her. So the energy I think that you're coming into the month of May with is this ability to see a lot more clearly than before. And sometimes actually that can be a little scary because we see things so clearly and yet we don't always know then what to do with that information. So that's what I'm seeing for you for the month of May coming into it. Let's have a look at the soul lesson. Oh my gosh, interesting. We got another swords card. We got the Five of Swords. So the month lesson this month is about basically the battles, because the Five of Swords is all about conflict and things happening, but also that idea that we don't have to win every battle. We don't have to, it's about choosing the battles correctly. And I love this card in particular. It looks like this worm has been cut in a million pieces. And in French, there's an expression that says, don't cut a hair in a million pieces, because sometimes that's exactly what our mind does when we kind of get into this kind of obsession. We can start analyzing things or dissecting it, and we kind of like over cut it up. And as a result, this card to me, the soul lesson this month is about relaxing, not trying to win all the battles, not trying to maybe also understand everything. Again, going back to this card about now that we see everything, it doesn't mean that you need to actually try to win or to control it or to understand it. And this card is also about, again, choosing your battles and remembering that sometimes when we win a battle, we can win, but at what cost? And so it's about choosing what's really important to you right now, what needs your attention or your energy. Because each time you put your energy in these things that are preoccupying or taking up your mind space, it's taking away energy from other things. Let's have a look at what to let go this month. So for this card, actually, two cards wanted to come out. So we first have the Eight of Wands, and then we have the Six of Cups. To me, I love actually the imagery in this, where we see the colors coming from above and then the colors down here. I think that there's something really interesting in that. But the Eight of Wands is all about fast-paced motion. It's about movement. It's about that momentum that you can get when you get a spark, right? And so what I'm getting here is that what to let go of this month is definitely not to want that momentum, to be okay with things going slow. And actually, I think it actually is really linked to this again, not necessarily understanding. Sometimes we get that new knowledge, we get to a new place, but we want things then to go fast. We want it to have that action, that momentum. But sometimes when we're integrating those things, it's also about like letting the time happen. And then I think this is really interesting too, because this card is linked to nostalgia, childhood, our memories from the past. And what I see here is that it's a way of like letting go of that, maybe the safety that you used to feel in your last, how you were, like hanging on to the past, thinking that it was better before. Because it's true that when we're in this transition period where maybe we feel a lot of conflict, but we don't really know how to resolve it yet, it can feel uncomfortable, and we can feel as if we want to go back to how things were because it was safer. Even if things weren't perfect, at least we knew how they were. But this is about letting go of that need, or letting go also of that kind of comparison to what was before and thinking that it was better or wanting to go back there, and remembering that even if things haven't kind of figured themselves out yet, that you are, and even if things aren't necessarily moving, there is a transition. Something is happening, but you have to be patient. You can't force it. You can't expect that all this change comes from momentum and movement. Sometimes it's actually about sitting there and having it integrate. So let's have a look though what you can lean into this month. Oh my gosh. Okay, wow. We got the Three of Swords. That's an interesting one about leaning into, because the Three of Swords I find sometimes is one of the hardest cards in the whole deck, because it talks about heartbreak and betrayal and those really heavy emotions that we can go through as a human. And actually, that's what I was talking about when I said the Suit of Swords was so hard sometimes, but that this mother has gone through it and learned a lot. It's the Three of Swords is one of those hard cards that she had to go through. And so what I'm getting here though is that since it's about leaning into this, I think it's also about remembering that this mother became wise through the experiences. And so, it's kind of like what we've been hearing a lot these days is don't shy away from some of those emotions that are harder. You can learn so much from them. And I know that this actually is applying quite strongly to me for this month, because I'm coming in a little bit anxious and feeling a little bit like I had been feeling so good. And then now I have a couple of hard emotions coming back out, and it's making me feel a little bit nervous, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to be going back into those hard negative emotions. But I think here it's not about either fueling them and making them bigger than they are, but it's also just about noticing them and letting them be. Somebody said once, I read this, that actually an emotion only really lasts 60 seconds. And so if we can just let it kind of ripple through our body, feel the pain, feel the sadness, feel the betrayal, feel the hard feelings, without holding on to it, but also without trying to repress it, it'll actually evacuate the system a lot easier and quicker. And so to me, it's about leaning into, it's not about like fueling those emotions or making them bigger, but it's about allowing them to be. And also, another thing that I'm personally learning these days is that when I am going through a hard emotion and or something difficult, I know from the past that I've learned so much from those experiences. And so usually afterwards, I'm like, wow, that was actually kind of interesting, or I'm happy I actually went through that, even if it was really hard, because it brought me to this new place. And what I'm wanting to work on more and more though is not to only have that feeling later, but to have it actually while I'm learning it, and to remember to give myself that grace or give myself that space to have the feeling, and to trust that it will actually be okay or better, or that it's going to bring me to a new place. But so it's actually to integrate the lesson not only afterwards, but while. So I feel that when I'm doing that, it actually helps me actually go through the lesson that's hard, because it doesn't feel like, I know that it's actually doing something, even if I can't see how it's going to work out, because usually we can't. But it gives me a little bit more trust, a little bit more breathing air, and it doesn't feel as hard, because I know it's actually working for me and not against me. I hope that can help you too. So for the last card, as always, we're going to pick a card for the message of love from your guides or your highest self. And oh, wow, we got the Hierophant. And the Hierophant actually can get a really bad rap too, because it's all about kind of dogma or religion or structures or, following the rules. But the thing is, what I'm getting here is it's about following and making your own rules. And that the message of love is that as you grow and see more clearly, even if you don't know exactly what you're seeing, and as you wait and you start to realize that, you can't be in the momentum, you can't be forcing momentum or staying in the past, you're going to be creating your own truth, your own rules, your own belief systems. And I know that that can be sometimes really hard, because I realize even with my spirituality, it's really hard to find somebody who has exact same vision as me, because I have this kind of belief and then that, and it mixes into my own. And that's exactly what the Hierophant is. Usually we end up following other people's rules, other people's ideas. But when we can get to the fact that we make our own, and it includes actually having and integrating our own lessons, we all have our own things that we deal with. Even somebody who else is in the same situation as you, let's say like, you have a sibling and you have the same education, the same parents, the same upbringing, but you all have your own individual things that you go through, your own tribulations. And so those make you you. Those make you yourself. Those make you have your own ways of seeing the world, seeing situations, your own experience. And so you will develop this. And I love actually seeing how the Mother of Swords actually also kind of becomes this the crow in this card. And it's just by continuing to work on ourselves and to deal with ourselves and to notice the conflicts right now, but not to overthink them and not to actually get kind of involved in that action or that conflict that's going on right now, and just to be okay with sitting with the uncomfortableness as it filters through you, as it goes through you, so that you can actually alchemize it into your own personal truth, your own spirituality, your own way of being able to cope and deal with the world. So on that, I'm wishing you lots of love and lots of laughter for this month of May, and I'll see you next month. Thanks so much for watching.